Okay. uh, Okay. Okay, so I want to be seeing your responses on the YouTube channel. I want to be seeing your response on the YouTube channel. So we are actually interested in having a review of FBCH 202. Let me. So I want to be getting responses on the channel. Want to be getting responses on the channel. Yes, I can see. Okay, so let's take the first question. Because this session is for questions and answers. Whatever questions that you have, you can actually ask it using the chat column of the YouTube live. So here we ask, what is the primary component of nucleoproteins? What is the primary component of nucleoproteins? What is the primary component of nucleoproteins? Yeah, you have option. You have lipids. Lipids is nowhere to be found there. We have nucleic acids. We have carbohydrate. We have protein. So at least the two answers here is either A, is that B, or D. D is nucleic acid. At least the name was derived from nuclei and proteins. When we say nucleoproteins, we are trying to establish. We are trying to establish. We are trying to establish that the the nucleic acid takes the greater portion of the complex. That's like when you say glycoproteins or proteoglycans. If you're talking about proteoglycans, you know that protein is a greater portion. So the answer to that question is nucleic acids. Nucleic acids. So the next question is nucleoproteins are primarily found in which of the following structure? Cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus or chloroplast. Of course, the answer is nucleus. The answer is nucleus. That houses genetic material. It's actually an organelle. Question number 3. Which of the following types of nucleic acids can be found in nucleoproteins? 1. RNAs only. 2. Which of the following types of nucleic acids can be found in nucleoproteins? 1. RNAs only. B. DNA only. C. Both RNA and DNA. D. Neither. So the answer to this question is both RNAs and DNAs. These are the two the nucleic acids that are found in nucleoproteins. Good evening, Mr. Alexander David. Now, which functional groups are present in all amino acids? I believe uh, all of us can actually answer this one. If you have actually followed my last two lecture series, you can actually answer this question very, very well. Say which functional groups are present in all amino acids? The amino group and the carboxylic group. The amino group and the carboxylic group. So we have amino group and the carboxylic group. That's actually the answer to that question. Next question is, at physiological pH, which is a pH that is approximately 7.4. Which is a physiological pH that is approximately 7.4. The amino group of an amino acid is dash. So we have four options: protonated, deprotonated, neutral, negatively charged. If you're in our last class, you answer this question with ease. Answer the question with ease. Usually, it's only at very high pH of almost 9 to 10, that you can have the, the amino group, the amino acid in the form of the deprotonated form. But at pH of 7, 8 below, they always deprotonated. Yes, gives I love the reactions. Click the like button, share to your friends that this is live, so you should join for the exams tomorrow. Trust me, they will not regret it. Now the carbon atoms, or the carbon atom to which both the amino and the carboxylic group are attached to, or attached, is called, the answer is the alpha carbon. The alpha carbon is that carbon if you look at the amino acid, so if you look at this amino acid on the screen, in the nomenclature of carboxylic acids, this carbon after the carboxylic group is called the alpha carbon. And that's where the name actually comes from, the alpha amino acid. The amino group is attached to the alpha carbon. That's why it's called alpha amino acid. Now, which part of an amino acid determines its unique characteristics? Which part of amino acid determines which characteristic of the amino acid? Is the arrow group. Is the arrow group. This group here is the arrow group. Arrow group determines the character. Tell you if it is an acidic amino acid, a basic amino acid, an aromatic amino acid, or any character. So the arrow group, which is called the side chain, that gives the characteristics of the amino acid. What is the general formula of an amino acid? The general formula, you notice from our previous structure, the COOH, which is the acid portion, the C, H, and R, then the amino group NH2. So the option A is actually the answer. So which of the following is a basic amino acid? Basic amino acid. We have four options: lysine, serine, glutamate, and valine. Remember, we said valine is hydrophobic and neutral. Glutamate is hydrophilic or negatively charged. Serine is neutral or hydrophilic. Lysine is a basic amino acid in these options. Lysine is a basic amino acid in this option. Hope I'm not too fast. I need responses. I need responses. Which of the following amino acids contains a sulfur atom? Uh, okay. People are joining. Titanic, you were responding no, sir. What are you responding to? Please put it in writing so that I can know what you're responding to, so that I can address them. Okay. So, which amino acid contains a sulfur atom? Which amino acid contains a sulfur atom? We have methionine, we have alanine, we have leucine, and phenylalanine. Now, phenylalanine is aromatic amino acid. It contains the benzene ring. Contains the benzene ring. Leucine is hydrophobic. Hydrophobic and neutral. Alanine belongs to the same class with leucine. Methionine is the only sulfur containing amino acid in these options. But if we had seen something like cysteine, cysteine is another sulfur containing amino acid. Okay. So cysteine and methionine are the only sulfur containing amino acid. But cysteine sulfur is in the reduced form, while methionine sulfur atom is in the oxidized form. Know the difference. Know the difference. If I'll give a critical structure, you'll see that for coming. Okay, so you see that for methionine has a structure like this. methionine has a structure like this. If I had to put them at spar with each other, so methionine has this structure. Here is CH2, CH2, CH3. So you can see that the sulfur is oxidized. It's oxidized. But for so you can see that there's presence of hydrogen in cysteine. So for cysteine, the sulfur is reduced. That is why cysteine plays a very, very vital role in protein structure. Because it can oxidize and reduce. This oxidation will give rise to a bond formation. This reduction will give rise to bond breakage if it is reduced. So which is an aromatic amino acid? So which is an aromatic amino acid? But at this point, I want to be getting your answers first. Oh, the answer is already there. The answer is already there. I didn't have time to prepare for. I didn't have time to prepare for this lecture. What I mean by preparation, get more, arrange the PowerPoint very well, because I didn't know that the exam was tomorrow. It was even today that I found out that the exam is tomorrow. So I had to put up something so fast. So which of these is an aromatic amino acid? The answer is phenylalanine. Phenylalanine. So if you see phenylalanine, thyroxine, thyroxine, or tryptophan, or tryptophan, we're talking about the same aromatic amino acid. So either of them on the options is correct. Which of the following is a non-polar amino acid? Yeah, in our last lecture, dealt more on the characteristics of amino acids, how they are classified into polar, non-polar, acidic, basic, the rest. So which of the following is a non-polar amino acid? If you go through those my videos on protein structures, amino acids, and nucleic acid nucleoproteins, I bet you there's no how you will not get B is the minimum. you'll get in your exam tomorrow. Because I covered everything. This is the minimum. So which of the following is not a non-polar, is a non-polar amino acid? Arginine is polar. Aspartate is polar. Thyroxine is semipolar. Thyroxine is semipolar, even though it's an aromatic amino acid. In our last lecture, we talked about those amino acids that are slightly polar because of their because of them having some hydrophilic molecules like OH, hydroxygroup. And thyroxine is an example. So the answer there is leucine. The answer there is leucine. So what type okay, what type of amino acid is aspartic acid? So what type of amino acid is aspartic acid? Uh, so we have acidic, basic, neutral, aromatic. It's not aromatic, it's not neutral. It's charged. That's why it's called aspartic acid. It's charged. Being an acid, it will have an acidic property. It's an acidic amino acid. This question is the most stupid. This question is the most funny question I have here. Which reagent is used in anhydrine? Of course, it's anhydrine. So, which reagent is used in anhydrine? Of course, the answer is anhydrine. It doesn't even. This is actually one of the bonus questions we have. So a positive anhydrine test gives which color? Because purple. I've been talking about it last talking about it in our last lecture. So which test is specific for thyroxine? We talked about it last time, which is a millions test. In our last class, we talked about it. Millions test is actually specific for thyroxine. Uh, if the test is actually conducted for phenol, it will also show positive because of the hydroxy group in the phenyl ring. Which amino acid gives a positive sulfur test? I said it earlier. Like cysteine and methionine is the only sulfur containing amino acid. Which color is observed in a pyrite test? For proteins, good evening, Mr. Kelvin. Which bond is responsible for the primary structure of proteins? Which bond is responsible for the primary structure of proteins? Welcome, Mr. Justice. So which bond is responsible for the primary structure of proteins? Of course, it's peptide bond. That's what forms the structure before we talk about any other type of bonding in proteins. Secondary structures of proteins. Secondary structure of proteins includes dash, alpha helix and beta sheets. Alpha helix and beta sheets. You have there's no how you watch my previous videos on this topic and you will not get these answers. Not possible. Uh, Disulfide bridges is not a secondary structure. Peptide linkage is not a secondary structure. Side chain interactions is not secondary structure. What side chain interaction can do is to maybe the stability of the structure of the protein. it is not type of a secondary structure. Now, look at this question. Just while we're about, talking about the previous one, this is the main question. So which force stabilizes alpha helix and beta sheets? It's hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond is the primary force in secondary structures. We usually define secondary structure as interaction between amino acids, four residues apart. Interaction between amino acids, four residues apart. And that interaction is hydrogen bond interaction. Which structure is disrupted by denaturation? Which structure is disrupted by denaturation? Secondary and tertiary. Of course, you cannot denature the primary structure. You cannot disrupt or denature primary structure. It's just the sequence of the amino acids. So you can disrupt secondary structure, either alpha helix or beta sheet. You can disrupt the tertiary structure. You can also disrupt quaternary structure of protein. But in this question, they say which structure is disrupted by denaturation? The major problem is the option. Of course, option B, the primary structure is not even among, but option C can also be seen as an answer in a certain condition where secondary and tertiary structure are not part of the options. So they say only quaternary structure. That makes option C wrong. Option D, option C wrong. Option D, which is peptide bond. Peptide bond is not a structure, it's a linkage. This linkage will give rise to a type of secondary structure. So we have the answer there is the secondary and tertiary structure of proteins. Now look at this. Tertiary structure tertiary structure of protein is stabilized, or proteins is stabilized by all except peptide bond. Said it earlier. Hydrogen bond, correct. When you look at the hydrogen bond can stabilize the structure of the protein, which I actually said earlier. Disulfide bond can actually stabilize the structure of protein. Hydrophobic interaction also stabilizes the structure of protein. When we talk about hydrophobic interactions, we talked about you know hydrophobicity in general, where the hydrophobic molecule will try as much as possible to shy away from the aqueous environment. Because of that shying away from the aqueous environment, they tend to form a particular type of structure. So it will also help making sure that the protein is stabilized in that environment. So the answer is peptide bond does not contribute to stabilization of the protein. What is a disulfide bond? A disulfide bond is a covalent bond between two cysteine residues. A covalent bond between two cysteine residues. Remember in our last class, we were talking about a protein that was isolated, you know, using column chromatography, having a single band on the SDS page electrophoresis. When treated with 6-mercaptoethanol, which is a reductant, the protein now has two bands when exposed again to SDS polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. That has two bands with a corresponding molecular weight of 20 kilodalton and 30 kilodalton. So, what can this tell you about the structure of the protein? Of course, the protein is a tertiary protein that is linked by a disulfide bond. And that disulfide bond is contributed by cysteine residue. We say the protein is a tertiary protein, not a quaternary protein, because of the covalent bond. Say for quaternary protein, see there is no existence of covalent linkage, just an interaction between different subunits, non-covalent interaction between subunits. So the answer there is covalent bond between two cysteine residues. Which of the following best describe quaternary structure? Which of the following best describe the quaternary structure? A. Assembly of multiple polypeptide. B. Alpha helix. Wrong. Alpha helix is a secondary structure. C. Beta plated sheet is a type of secondary structure. D. Linear sequence of amino acid primary structure. So they say it's an assembly of multiple polypeptide. That's the correct answer. But this multiple polypeptide must not be linked in a covalent fashion. If they are linked in a covalent fashion, it is one protein. Hemoglobin is an example of a quaternary protein. It has four subunits, two alpha subunits, two beta subunits. Quaternary protein. It's not even close to being a primary protein or a fibrous protein. Which bond is least likely to be involved? Which bond is least likely to be involved in protein tertiary structure? Least likely. Of course, and the glycosidic bond should not even be there in the first place. So the answer is glycosidic bond. Which of the following which of the following is not the determinant force in protein folding? Which of the following is not the determinant force in protein folding? A. Ionic bond. B. Hydrogen bond. C. Hydrophobic effect. D. Ester linkage. Ester linkage is definitely wrong. It's definitely wrong. That's actually the answer to that question. Ionic bonding is actually correct. It's actually part of the terminal force in protein folding. Hydrogen bonding, hydrophobic effect are all parts of protein folding. Okay, so they say which type of interaction occurs between non-polar side chains in proteins? Good evening, Precious. So what type of interaction occurs between non-polar side chains in proteins? When you say between non-polar, that non-polar is already making them hydrophobic. It's making them hydrophobic already. So the answer is hydrophobic interaction. Hydrogen bonds in proteins usually occur between backbone atoms. Backbone atoms. That's why I said earlier, the hydrogen bonding between amino acid, four residues apart. Four residues apart. So residue at position one, interacting with residue at position four. Electrostatic interactions are most likely to occur between between what? A, oppositive charge side chains. Of course, when I talk about electrostatic, I talk about uh, positive and negative charge. So which amino acid is positively charged? Lysine. Lysine is positively charged. Arginine. Arginine is positively charged. Histidine. Histidine is positively charged. So the interaction with aspartates or glutamates or glutamate, make them uh, interact, kind of ionic interaction. So it's an interaction between oppositely charged side chain, arginine and glutamate, arginine and aspartate, lysine and aspartate, lysine and glutamate, and the rest. So denaturation affects which level of protein structure? Okay, Samuel, what's your question? Samuel Collins, what's your question? So here the question is kind of yes, Abraham, aspartate is negatively charged. It's an acidic amino acid, so it's negatively charged. Now this question is somehow tricky. Now, the denaturation affects which levels of protein structure? There are four levels of protein structure. One, two, three, four. One is primary structure. It cannot be denatured. It's the original way of representing just the sequence of the amino acids. So it cannot be denatured. So primary structure, wrong. Primary only, wrong. Secondary can be denatured to become primary. Tertiary can be denatured to become primary. Quaternary structure can be denatured to become primary. So now option B is wrong. Option B is wrong. Option C is quaternary only. That makes it wrong because both secondary and tertiary can also be denatured. All levels is actually also wrong. Because if you said all levels, that means it included primary structure. So the answer here is A, secondary and tertiary structure. Which functional group? Okay, we've gotten this one. Okay. So, do you have any questions to ask? Do you have any questions to ask? Okay, somebody asked, what's the meaning of proteination or proteinated? It means that there's addition of hydrogen, addition of hydrogen. Deprotonation is removal of hydrogen. That's why you see in the option A, you see protonated, then H3 plus. That means one hydrogen has been added and made it plus. You see deprotonated, you see NH2, no addition of hydrogen. So that one hydrogen made it plus has been removed. So if you're here, if you've not subscribed and click on the notification bell, please do so. So whenever I have a live session to notify you that I have gone live or I have posted a new video. Please share to your friends and colleagues and they should watch this video for their tomorrow's exam. So this is the time we have to ask questions. Don't want to waste your time. Just just watch the two previous lectures. And this one, you're good to go. The two previous lectures we posted on the group. And this one will also be posted on the group. So that you can actually review it yourself and prepare yourself for tomorrow's exam. Okay, so we are done with this live session. I wish you all the best in your exams. Very soon we'll start chemistry and structure of carbohydrates, lipids for students from other universities so that they can follow us and learn. Good night.